All right, so today was a squat day, and I started off the day by going up to a heavy triple, and I set the heavy triple to be at 80% of my training max. So I've decided that on the intensification phase of all my waves, I would do a heavy triple or heavy fives or heavy double or single, depending on what the week is. So since it's the eights wave, I decided to do a heavy triple. On the tens, I did a heavy five at 75%, heavy triple at 80% for the eights. Then I do a heavy double at 85% for the fives, and heavy single for the threes, for the threes wave. This was my heavy triple at 365 pounds, and that's 80% of my current training max, which is 455 pounds. And I think it moved pretty well. I will say the weights were feeling kind of heavy today. I'm not sure if it's because I went a little bit early in the morning, maybe because I didn't have too much food in my system, but they definitely felt a little bit heavy, at least at this point. When I started getting into the actual workout, they started feeling lighter. I think that's one of the potential benefits of doing a heavy single or a heavy something before the actual working weights. The actual working weights feel a little bit lighter. So this was me then going into the juggernaut specific training. So this is me hitting 330 pounds for 8 reps. I believe that's about maybe 0.65 or 0.75 of my training max. But what it called for was to hit 8 reps for 2 sets, and then on the last set to hit AMRAP set that is above 8 reps. So 8 reps is the minimum prescribed reps. Generally, I like the way things moved. It felt a little bit heavy, but it was still moving well. Uh, yes. So I decided to do the first 2 sets beltless. I've done pretty much everything beltless so far. So the entire tens wave I did it beltless. I decided to do the first two ones of these beltless. But when it came to actually doing the AMRAP set, I decided to throw on a belt. I think at 330 pounds, things are starting to feel a little bit heavy. I think it's nice to, have the extra support, extra rigidity of the belt. And I mean, it totally helps. The reason why I try to train beltless is because I like the psychological boost putting on a belt gives me. It's almost like +5, +10 strength. I mean, it's actual strength boost because it gives you more support, obviously. I think I also gain a lot psychologically from, you know, doing things like putting on a belt. For example, on the bench press, I don't use a wrist wrap for some of the lighter sets because I feel like once I throw on the wrist wrap, it gives me a huge psychological boost. Maybe a bit of a actual real boost, quantifiable boost. But I think in that case is more of a psychological boost, not actual physical boost. But yeah, I decided to hit 12 reps on the last set, which was the AMRAP set of the squats, and I'd say it felt good. Generally, if I do a heavy top set that is multiple reps, like I did a heavy triple today, try to cap off the AMRAP sets at 1.5 of the minimum prescribed. So the minimum prescribed is 8 this week, so capped off the AMRAP at 12. But I will say I probably wouldn't have done much more than 12 anyways. Maybe I could have done two or three more, maybe, but I still capped it off at 12. Next week you know, I'm gonna hit 80% of my training max for an AMRAP above 8. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm already hyping myself up. But yeah, today on the pause deadlifts, I went to 305 pounds, 3 by 5. Last week I did 295. I'm increasing these by 10 pounds each week, depending on how I feel. But I felt really good today, so I did 3 by 5. And on the last set, I actually did two extra reps on the last set. One for my dad, one for my mom. But yeah, I mean, it felt pretty good. I'm still doing these ones beltless. Still feel strong enough to do them beltless, and it felt fine. And yeah, I then went into the RDLs, and I did the RDLs 235 pounds, 3 by 10. Last week I jumped from 225 to 235, and I decided to stick to 235 this week because I would say last week I think at the heavier weight, I feel like my form was getting compromised, especially towards the last set. So I decided to stick to that weight, and I think that was a good choice because it felt like a well chosen weight. It was challenging enough to where uh, you know, it felt challenging enough, but I still feel like I was able to maintain my form. I think if I went a little bit higher, my form would have been a little bit compromised. Yeah, I think I'll still stick with 235 for 3 by 10 for a couple weeks. Maybe I'll just try to increase the number of reps. Maybe I'll go to like 3 by 12 next week or something. I'll probably just stick with this for a while, really master this weight before then going up by another 10 pounds to 245 pounds. It's pretty crazy. I'm working with some pretty heavy weights for RDLs. I mean, it's not like far-fetched to imagine myself RDLing, say, 275 for 3 by 10, which is pretty crazy, I think. And yeah, it's pretty interesting that my lower back is, holding up really well. That's one thing I noticed when I start powerlifting training. My lower back gets super strong. I'm able to do squats, pause deadlifts, RDLs all on the same training day, which is awesome. The lower back is pretty much, it's almost like the pillar of powerlifting. Like so many of the movements require very strong lower back. And then yeah, I mean, other thing I went into is I did some Bulgarian split squats, and I love this movement. I think it should be I think it should be a staple accessory for most people's trainings. Uh, I mean, first of all, I mean, I think the stretching, the way it's able to, do a little bit of stretching, at least for me, I feel like it's able to really get into my adductors. I feel like I'm able to, maintain good length in my adductors, but also the strength you're able to develop, and also cardiovascular endurance. I don't think anything, most other things just don't hit my cardiovascular system as hard as these ones do for some reason. Like I could have 400 pounds on my back on the squat, and I just have 55 pounds on the Bulgarian split squats, and then I'm wrecked. It's a pretty interesting exercise, and I just know it's really good for me. I just know it is. So yeah, I love doing these ones. Right now I'm at 55 pounds for 3 by 12. Last week I did 60 pounds for 3 by 10, but that was just because 55 wasn't available. But yeah, I felt really good with this one. I think I'll stick with this one, or I mean, honestly, I'm good to go up to 60 pounds 3 by 12. But after this, I did some hamstring curls, and I did those at 180 pounds 3 by 12. Those also felt good. Generally, I would rate this workout solid, about 4 over 5. Great workout overall. The weights felt a little bit heavy on the squats, but that's okay. We'll still smash the next week. But yeah, looking forward to the next week. Ciao.